Hey guys, how's it going? Kripparrian here. We got some card reviews for you guys in the upcoming expansion, the Rastakhan's Rumble. So these are the cards revealed at BlizzCon after the original announcement, and why not? We're going to do like 5-star system. Why not, right? Because we can do it. We're just going to pop this out real quick. This is like the very first look at the expansion, so it's very rough. Usually the good cards are the ones that receive a lot of synergy later on, and maybe we'll do a card review once we've seen the rest of those. So, Cannon Barrage, we got a rogue card, 6 mana spell, deal 3 damage to a random enemy, repeat for each of your pirates. This can be really good. You can play a lot of pirates very cheaply. You can play the deckhand for 1 mana. You can actually play the Dread Corsair for 0 mana if you're patient enough. And there's some synergy in Wild to make this work with patches. If there's ever like a Tavern Brawl that you can stuff a bunch of patches in, this card's going to be like the money shot. So it looks kind of weak, but I think it's pretty decent, and we also have to consider the spell damage scaling. So if you have like 5 pirates, if you play like 1 spell damage, you do like 4 damage per pirate. This card can actually get pretty crazy. I think it's going to be pretty clunky at the start, so it's probably not going to see much play at the very start, but I think it's a card that will pop up in some way or another in the game, and I'm going to rate it 4 stars. There we go. Hex Lord Malacrass. So this is an 8-cost Mage Legendary. Add a copy of an opening hand to your hand, except this card. So, it's a terrible statted card. 8 mana 5/5 is garbage. The idea is if there is an extremely slow control meta, and you know you're playing a control mage, and you know your opponent is playing a control deck as well, you keep a very greedy opening hand. You hope your opponent doesn't kind of tempo you out, and then you get like extreme value off of this guy. Otherwise, it's just kind of okay. If you're getting 3 kind of random early game cards as the Battlecry from an 8-cost 5/5, it's just okay. Yeah. It also kind of requires you to play a bit of a slow control mage deck, which has generally been mostly on the miss side lately. So this card certainly looks very misfit, but the power level is rather high, so I'm going to rate it 2 stars. Pyromaniac, 3 mana, 3/4. That is El Primo Stataroni, boys. This card is going to be ridiculous in Arena. Whenever your hero power kills a minion, draw a card. So if you're going to use a hero power anyway to kill something anyway, it's a 3 mana, 3/4, and you get a card as well. So that's unbelievable, by the way. That's unbelievable. This is going to be an unbelievably good Arena card, and I don't really know what to expect. In Constructed, we're typically looking for combos, but they did say that there's going to be a lot of cards that work off of your hero power, so I'll probably rate this card like 3 stars or so, maybe 4. That can certainly go way up, depending on the hero power synergy that we'll see in the future. Reign of Toads, 6-cost Shaman spell, summon 3 2/4 Toads with Taunt Overload 3. Now, I'm thinking to myself, if you had 6 mana, would you actually even play 3 2/4 taunts? And I would say, yeah, you probably would. Overload 3, that's pretty bad. It's a very cool themed card, but it seems a little bit pricey. But I do have to say, most of us card reviewers, we're typically wrong when it comes to cards that generate taunt things. So I'll probably rate the card like 4 stars. That seems like way too much, but we'll see about that. Baited Arrow, the non-vegan version of Bane of Doom. Deal 3 damage, and if you overkill, so if you kill something that has 2 health or 1 health, you summon a 5/5 Devil Sword. So it's kind of like a ping with a 5/5. That's actually surprisingly good. I look at this card and I think of like, Fire Elemental. So like this card is going to be ridiculously good in Arena. The consistency is very strong. I'm not sure about Constructed, but we have the Spell Hunter decks. So while it might not be that good of a card, is it good enough for a spell-only card deck type? And I'd say probably yeah. Your ideal goal is killing something with 2 health, but you also have to keep in mind the fact that it can just do the damage. So if you're close to killing your opponent, Baited Arrow might be the lethal you're looking for. So pretty strong, but yeah, we will see. I would rate this card 4 stars. I think it's going to be amazing in Arena, and actually might have a chance to revive the Spell Hunter archetype in Constructed. Springpaw, 1 cost, 1/1 beast with rush. Battlecry adds a 1/1 links with rush to your hand. It's a double beast, so it's automatically insane in Arena, and it's a pretty good 1-drop, so it's automatically pretty useful in Constructed. Now, I do have doubts that Aggro Hunter is going to out-zoo a lot of the other basically zoo/aggro decks with the consideration of Baku and Gen and all that garbage, but I think it's a card that's going to see quite a bit of play, at the very least, when those cards cycle out. Possibly in the next expansion when we have the next standard rotation. So for now, I'd give it a nice 3.5 stars, but I think it's going to go to a 5-star card eventually, though it might take a while. Savage Striker, 2 cost, 2/3 Battlecry. Deal damage to an enemy minion equal to your hero's attack. Your hero's attack as a druid is generally 0, possibly 1. But it's a 2-mana 2/3, so in terms of Arena, you're just going to get some value, so it's an extremely good 2-drop in Arena. As far as Constructed, this is a card that requires heavy synergy, and we're talking about cards that buff your hero's attack that don't suck. We don't really have any of those right now. So this card is pretty bad right now for Constructed, but that can certainly change immediately once we get some cards that synergize with it. So for now, I'm going to give it the old 2 stars, but this can actually go all the way up to 4 or 5 if it gets the support it demands. Void Contract, 8 cost, destroy half of each player's deck. This is automatically a 5-star card because you destroy so many things all at once. This card is obviously garbage. I mean, if there's a ton of combo decks, you're like, wow, this can destroy a combo deck. But Warlock already has combo disruptors. So if this wasn't a Warlock card, I'd say it's actually pretty good. But you have to consider just how terrible this card is against aggressive opponents. It is horrifyingly bad. The cost to put this in your deck, given the spectrum of decks you're likely to encounter in the meta, it makes it really expensive because it's just absolutely dead. Now, I can't imagine them coming up with synergistic effects of destroying half of each player's deck, but I don't know. Maybe there's a card that will put cards that were destroyed while in your deck in play or some shit. I don't know. There's possible synergy here, but otherwise, I'm happy this card is epic because I don't plan to look at it or craft it. So, yep. Rip in peace. If I could rate 0 stars, I would, but it's going to be a 1. Immortal Prelate. 2 cost, 1/3 Death Rattle. Shuffle this into your deck. It keeps any enhancements. So basically, you play this, you play some buffs and shit, and it synergizes with the legendary Lua, is it? I don't remember. Whatever. The big-ass Paladin legendary that we saw in the original reveal synergizes with that. Pretty good. If you do a Spike Ridge Steed on this, it's very strong. Paladins have had enough card draw to play the draw all your deck type of combo/control paladin, but it hasn't had the reoccurring value that it has needed to kind of keep up with that against other control decks. This card kind of changes that. While it's not a high power level card, I would say it fits a niche that Paladin has not been able to fill for a really long time. So I think the card is deceptively good with, I don't think it's going to be like a tier 1 because the moment this card rules the meta is the moment everyone uses silence in every deck that they play, and then this card is garbage. So because it's too easily countered, I don't think it's going to be tier 1, but I think it's going to be a strong tier 2 deck with maybe a medium power tier 2 deck. So I got to rate a 4 stars. Not a 5, but it's a very good card. Surrender to Madness. 3 cost, destroy 3 of your mana crystals. Give all minions in your deck +2/+2. That is costly. That's an extreme high roll. Cards that have that high of a high roll, sometimes they're actually pretty good. The way that I see this card seeing some play is you play a lot of cards that cost 1 or 2 mana that are notably good if they have an increase in stats. And you have the Priest spell that can discover a spell from your deck. So if you can consistently play this, you have a decent amount of card draw. Maybe some of the card draw cantrips, Loot Hoarder, some shit like that. It's possible there's a deck there, but I cannot bet on that working out without actually trying it myself. So for now, I'd have to say the card is pretty awful, but I'd watch out for this one. I wouldn't give up on it, but it certainly looks like very, very much like a 1-star card to me. we have the Warlock Legendary here, or one of the two. Hirik the Bat is an 8-cost beast, and it fills your board with copies of this minion. So if you have absolutely nothing, and in terms of hand buffs, or in terms of crap on the board, you're looking at 7 1/1s for 8 mana. Is that good? Nope. That's absolute shit. If you can get 1 buff on it, it's okay. I think it's pretty decent if you can get 1 buff on it. You can get 2 buffs on it, it's pretty damn good. Any more than that, it is literally a win condition, because once you get north of 3 health, it can be very difficult to clear on the board. So that's where this other card comes in. Spirit of the Bat. Wow. 2 costs. It's like the spirit for Warlock. They did mention that the Rogue one was the most expensive, so nothing's going to be over 4 mana for spirits. This is a 2-cost 0/3 with stealth for 1 turn, not a Battlecry. So if you transform it or you search for it or whatever, you get the stealth for 1 turn. After a friendly minion dies, give a minion in your hand +1/+1. So the demo they had gave this like 5 +1/+1s, and then there's like a full board of 6/6s. That's pretty optimistic, by the way. I think that's not going to work out a lot of the time, and the card is probably not very good. But if we see like 3 or 4 more hand buffers from Warlock, then that's totally going to change, right? So it's really hard to evaluate these cards. I think Spirit of the Bat is pretty bad, and I think the Legendary is pretty bad, but these are heavy synergy cards. They're usually the cards that, if they get enough synergy, actually dominate the meta. So this is like either 1-star or 5-star, both of them. I'll go with 1 for now, but we'll see later. And the rest we saw. That's the good one. There we go. Those are Saltgrace. That's the big Legendary that we saw for Paladin. Possibly defining with the other Paladin cards, we'll see. But right now, we're just getting the first wave. We got to kind of get our brains working, and we got to see what kind of synergies we're seeing and coming up with. I hope it's going to be a good expansion. I will spoil it a little bit. I did have a little bit of a conversation in regards to this expansion with some of the devs, and they are confident that we are going to see more than roughly 0 cards from this expansion played in Constructed. So yay for that. Keep your hopes up. Hope you enjoyed my card review, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.